Hello everyone, my name is Aidanomic and welcome to my mastery guide on the Hellion in the Darkest Dungeon 2. Hopefully this guy can help you out a bit and helps you to understand the Hellion a little bit more. So the Hellion can generally fit into any team composition that you want to run, and she really needs to sit at the front of your team to make the most of her abilities. The Hellion starts out with 5 basic abilities. You got Wicked Hack, Iron Swan, Barbarian Yorp, If It Bleeds, and Toe to Toe. Out of these 5 basic abilities that you're given at the beginning of the game, only one of them is really any good, guys, and that is Toe to Toe. In order to get the most out of your Hellion, you're going to have to visit those sweet hero shrines, guys. You got to make sure that the Hellion's fully upgraded. If she isn't fully upgraded, you are going to struggle with the abilities that she gets at the beginning of the game, because her basic kit, let's be honest, it's just not that good. It's bad! The basic Toe to Toe ability is okay, but you want to make sure that you use a mastery point on the Toe to Toe ability as soon as you possibly can, because trust me, once that ability is upgraded, it's going to allow you to remove any winded tokens that are currently sitting on the Hellion, and that's going to be absolutely huge. So some of you may be sat there wondering, Aidanomic, what is a winded token and what does that do to my Hellion? So basically what that does, for every winded token you have on your Hellion, she is going to be losing 33% of her damage and her speed is going to be reduced by 3. Now this can stack up to 3 winded tokens. So she can potentially be losing 99% damage and 9 speed.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
So it's really important that you get that Toe to Toe upgraded as soon as you can, so you can get rid of those winded tokens and you can start whipping that ass. So the first ability I'm going to recommend that you should use on the Hellion is going to be Toe to Toe. It allows her to move forward 1 position, it immobilizes her so she is unable to get pushed or pulled in any direction. It also puts taunt tokens on her, which means if the enemy has the ability to attack her, they've got to attack her, guys. They've literally got no other choice. So this is actually really good, especially when it's coupled with some of the other Hellion's abilities, which we're going to get into in a minute. But there is a bit of a downside to using Toe to Toe, and that's obviously, she gets that taunt token on her. That taunt token means she's going to be taking a lot of damage, but these other abilities we're going to recommend that you should put on. This will sort of justify why I pick these other abilities that I do. So the second ability that I'm personally going to recommend that you should use on the Hellion is going to be Bleed Out. Now Bleed Out can be unlocked by doing the first hero shrine you see with the Hellion, the Eve of Glory. A lot of people do ask me on stream and just generally why I recommend and use Bleed Out myself. And the reason being for that is that it's really good against block tokens. And if Bleed Out crits, guys, that's doing a hell of a lot of damage. It's going to be so damn big. The only real downside, again, to the Bleed Out is the fact that you get a winded token. But again, like I mentioned earlier, this is why I recommend using that mastery token on the Toe to Toe ability as soon as you can, because that Toe to Toe is going to save your ass. And it's going to help you a ton, trust me. Now, the third ability that I'm going to recommend that you should run on the Hellion is going to be Rivalry. Again, this has to be unlocked by visiting the hero shrines. And it's going to be unlocked after your 3rd visit to the hero shrine with the Hellion. It's called Night in the Woods. So Rivalry is a self-cast ability, and when it's completely standard, it removes 1 stress from your other heroes as long as they are above the stress threshold of 5. It also removes 2 stress from the Hellion as well, as long as she is also above the stress threshold of 5. And if she's under 33% HP, it's going to give her a self-heal of 20%, which is huge. And again, this ability triggers a winded token, so you can really see why I recommend upgrading the Toe to Toe as soon as possible. So Rivalry has a cooldown of 1 as well, which makes a Hellion a pretty decent stress healer. Even solo, she can do well. I feel like, personally, Hellion's Rivalry, it is much better than the Plague Doctor's Ounce of Prevention at the moment, especially after the biggest patch we just got on Darkest Dungeon 2. The 4th ability that I'm going to recommend that you guys should use on your Hellion builds is going to be Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush can be acquired by going to the hero shrine for a 5th time and doing the Great Emptiness. Adrenaline Rush allows the Hellion to self-heal for 25% of her max HP as long as her HP is under 33%, so don't forget that. Adrenaline Rush also gets rid of Bleed, Winded, and it allows her to gain 20% of her HP back on the next couple of attacks. So when Adrenaline Rush is upgraded, not only does it remove Bleed, it also gets rid of Blight and Burn damage. So using Rivalry alongside Adrenaline Rush and Toe to Toe, it's going to give that Hellion a lot of sustainability, a lot of help. She's also going to be splashing out a ton of damage as well.
No, that's a lot of damage!
So now it's time to say our 5th and final ability that I would use on the Hellion, and that is going to be Howlin End. With a base damage between 8 and 14 and a crit rate of 10%, this ability can really slap those enemies hard. Howlin End is also going to ignore any block tokens that the enemy may have on them as well. And once Howlin End has been upgraded, it can also ignore any guard tokens that are on the enemies as well. So our good friend, who was in the last game, who we're not going to mention, goodbye guard tokens. It is time for your demise. Now that we've got my top 5 abilities to use on the Hellion out of the way, I just want to touch on trinkets a little bit. What trinkets that go well on the Hellion. When it comes to the Hellion's trinkets, I would try to get damage, crit, or max HP if you have any of these trinkets available to you. The damage and crit trinkets, they're going to help cause some major damage, especially with like Howlin End and toe-to-toe and stuff like that. But max HP is also going to give the Hellion a little bit more survivability, especially when the toe-to-toe ability is used, because obviously, like I mentioned earlier, when you use toe-to-toe, you get a taunt token, which again, that means that enemies, if they can hit you, they've got to hit the Hellion. So the Hellion's going to be taking quite a bit of damage. So I would definitely recommend trying to get a max HP trinket on her at some point as well. Now, if you are sitting there and you're wondering, yo, Aidanomic, my Hellion is really struggling to keep up with the amount of stress that is being outputted by the enemies. You know, Rivalry is not keeping up. I'm going over 4 or 5 stress. I'm getting those negative interactions. Well, unfortunately, you probably are going to have to get a secondary stress healer in. So you probably want to go for like a Jester or a Plague Doctor and make sure that they've got an upgraded ounce of prevention on the Plague Doctor, for example, or an upgraded Inspire and Tune on the Jester, because that Inspire and Tune on the Jester, that's going to be removing that stress for free, right? Or even a Man-at-Arms with his Bolster ability, that's going to help a ton. So a secondary stress healer, that's really going to help out with all that stress that's getting piled on. Now, it's time that we talk about the best teams that go with the Hellion, or at least one of the best teams. Personally, I feel like this team paired up with the Hellion, it does so much damage, it's got survivability, it's got stress heals, it's really damn good. So if you are struggling to reach the mountain, do try and give this team a go and see how you get on. So in 4th position, I run the Plague Doctor. 3rd, I do Occultist. 2nd, Grave Robber, and then obviously at the front I use Hellion, because I feel like Hellion at this point in the game, especially with the patch, she is very much, to me personally, a must-pick hero. So yeah, highly recommend that team comp. If you do have success with it, or it does fail, please let me know in the comments below how you do get on with it. But again guys, before you do try out this comp, please try and make sure that your team is fully upgraded by visiting all those hero shrines, because it is going to help you a ton. I cannot justify how much those hero shrines are going to help and how much it means to have a fully upgraded party. So now it's time to summarize the skills that we mentioned earlier that I would personally use on the Hellion. So at first we're going to mention toe-to-toe. Get that upgraded as soon as possible. It is going to help you a ton. Second ability that we mentioned, bleed out. That's going to bleed enemies. It's going to ignore the block tokens. It's going to hit hard when that crits. Rivalry is going to help with stress healing across the Hellion herself and the rest of the team as well. Adrenaline Rush, again, that's going to help with the Hellion's healing, especially with the taunt tokens that come off toe-to-toe. And last but not least, guys, don't forget Howlin End. That is going to crit for days, and you are going to have so much fun looking at all those big numbers popping up on your screen. I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and I hope that this guide helps you to fully master the Hellion, and I hope that it helps you out in some way. If you haven't hit the mountain already, I hope it gets you there. I hope it helps you beat the final boss if you have been struggling as to how to use the Hellion. But be sure to like this video and subscribe on your way out, and also be sure to leave a comment if this guide has helped you out in any way, or any changes that you would do to the build that we recommended. But my name is Aidanomic, and goodbye for now.